Baba Vanga warned US. The big one is coming. Prophecy 2025. Welcome to the journey of wisdom, a space where ancient voices whisper through time and forgotten truths rise again to meet the challenges of our modern world. Here, we seek not just to predict the future, but to understand the deeper meanings behind it through the lens of compassion, karma, and clarity. Today, we revisit the haunting visions of Baba Vanga, the blind mystic from Bulgaria, whose inner sight saw far beyond the physical world. Though she lived in silence and simplicity, her words have echoed through decades, foretelling events that continue to shape humanity's story. From global unrest to natural disasters, her prophecies have stirred fear, curiosity, and deep reflection. But one warning, in particular, stands out: a chilling glimpse into what she called the Big One, a great upheaval that would shake the foundations of the West. Is this merely a warning of destruction? Or is it a spiritual call, a mirror held up to a society that may have drifted too far from harmony and truth? In this video, we explore not just a prophecy, but a possibility, that in preparing for the future, we may rediscover the wisdom we've lost. Number 1. Baba Vanga's prophecy of the Great Wave. In the late 1980s, a time when the world was holding its breath for change, when the Cold War was softening and old divisions were slowly crumbling, there was a quieter but equally significant moment unfolding far from the headlines. In a small, unassuming house nestled in the hills of Bulgaria, an elderly blind woman known to many as Baba Vanga sat in deep stillness. Her home, worn by weather and time, stood in sharp contrast to the political storms that raged across continents. She was not a leader, not a scientist, and not someone seeking the spotlight. Yet her words, spoken softly and without flourish, carried a weight that would echo far beyond that moment. On that day, Baba Vanga turned to her caretaker and whispered a chilling message. The water will cover the West. A great nation will drown. A wave of judgment will come. These were not dramatic declarations, but simple words, steeped in mystery words that carried the quiet thunder of something far deeper than what they first seemed. To the untrained ear, her prophecy might seem like a straightforward warning of a natural disaster, a massive flood, perhaps a tsunami, or some coastal catastrophe waiting on the horizon. But for those who understood the layers of meaning in Baba Vanga's visions, it became clear that this wave was not simply about rising waters or vanishing cities. It was a symbol, a powerful metaphor that reached beyond the physical world into the heart of our spiritual and moral condition. The Great Wave was not just something that would crash down from the outside, but something that would rise from within, a collective consequence of human choices, attitudes, and actions. Vanga believed that humanity had strayed too far from its roots, too far from its connection to the earth, to humility, and to one another. In her vision, the true disaster was not the wave itself, but what had given birth to it, a society consumed by greed, blinded by materialism, and indifferent to the sacred balance of life. For Baba Vanga, this prophecy was never about punishment, it was about consequence. She saw the earth as a living entity, not just a backdrop for human drama, but a force with its own intelligence, rhythm, and memory. When we live in ways that exploit, pollute, and ignore the natural world, we don't just damage the planet, we disrupt a sacred order. In her eyes, this disruption eventually demands correction. Just as a body will respond to infection or imbalance, the earth, too, seeks to restore harmony. This was the essence of her message: not fear, but awareness; not doom, but a plea for reflection. If we persist in building our societies on the shaky ground of arrogance and disconnection, we risk awakening forces that seek not to destroy, but to reset. Baba Vanga's warning, then, was not meant to terrify, it was meant to awaken. Her great wave, is a mirror held up to modern life, asking us to look honestly at what we have become. Are we still connected to the values that ground us? Do we honor the natural world as something sacred, or do we continue to see it as merely a means to an end? Are we building our lives on compassion and wisdom, or on division and desire? These are not just philosophical questions. They are the quiet ripples that, if left unchecked, can become the great waves of our future. And as we move closer to the uncertain tides of 2025, perhaps her voice still whispers not to predict, but to remind us the future is not fixed. It is shaped by how we live today. Number 2. Signs and present-day unfolding. Right now, we are no longer speaking about prophecy as something distant or symbolic. Baba Vanga's warning is echoing all around us in real time, not in whispers but in events we can witness with our own eyes. The great wave she spoke of doesn't just mean a towering wall of water. It can also mean a wave of change, crisis, and consequence, rising quietly at first, then all at once. Look closely. Sea levels aren't simply rising, they're creeping into our cities, our homes, and our lives, challenging what we thought was safe and permanent. Have you noticed how the very coasts that symbolize success and power are now the first to be touched by the sea? New York City, a place many of us associate with strength and resilience, is seeing its subway tunnels turn into rivers more often. What used to be called once-in-a-century floods now happen with disturbing frequency. Isn't it unsettling to realize that the very infrastructure we rely on daily is being slowly eroded by something we still pretend we can control? And in Miami, where wealth lives side by side with the sea, the ocean is rising not with rage, but with quiet certainty, lapping into streets even when there's not a single cloud in the sky. Pools reflect a blurred line between luxury and the looming reality we've ignored for too long. Do we ask ourselves why these places, symbols of modern human achievement, are the first to feel nature's pushback? Then there's Los Angeles' City of Dreams, built at the edge of beauty and danger. It's perched not only near the Pacific but atop the restless San Andreas Fault. While it dazzles the world with red carpets and stardom, below the surface, tension builds. The earth itself is waiting, quiet but not at peace. And still, many live there with the illusion that nothing will change, that earthquakes and disasters are things that happen elsewhere, to someone else. Isn't it time to question that illusion? Each of these cities, New York, Miami, Los Angeles, stand like temples of civilization, full of energy, creativity, and ambition. But if we've built them on fragile ground, both literally and spiritually, can we truly call them safe? Nature doesn't care for our skylines or economies. It moves according to its own laws, and it doesn't wait for us to catch up. The truth becomes harder to ignore when we consider what's happened in just the past few years. The Earth has been speaking louder, and its voice is no longer soft. In 2022, Hurricane Ian didn't just hit Florida, it erased parts of it. It was more than just a storm. It was a wake-up call, washing away homes and lives in hours. The following year, hurricanes with names like Daniel and Hillary defied expectations. Los Angeles, a city rarely touched by tropical systems, found itself soaked in subtropical rains, and desert regions' dry, cracked landscapes suddenly transformed into muddy floodplains. How is it that the places least prepared are now at the center of these changes? Meanwhile, global weather patterns have been thrown into chaos. El Niño, which once brought mild shifts in climate, now arrives like a wildfire, quite literally sparking blazes, supercharging storms, and heating the earth beyond historical limits. Ice that has stood for thousands of years, ancient sheets in Greenland and Antarctica, is breaking apart, vanishing into the oceans, taking centuries of memory with it. And what about the Gulf Stream, that powerful ocean current that quietly stabilizes our planet's climate? Scientists now warn that it is slowing, even drifting toward collapse. If it breaks down, the consequences could spiral out of control, with Europe freezing, the tropics overheating, and global agriculture falling into confusion. Can we truly say we are prepared for what that might mean? So the question remains, are these just random events, or are they threads in a larger fabric, the very fabric Baba Vanga warned us about? Her great wave might not be a single tsunami or one apocalyptic moment, but a series of converging forces: environmental breakdown, social instability, and a spiritual crisis of disconnection. What happens when all three rise together? This isn't about fear, it's about awareness. It's about noticing the signs in plain sight, recognizing the rhythm beneath the chaos, and deciding whether we'll continue ignoring it or finally begin to listen. Because the truth is, Baba Vanga's prophecy is not something that will unfold someday in the future. It is unfolding right now, in front of us, in the floods, the fires, the storms, and the silence we keep around them. And so, as we sit with all of this, the lesson becomes clear. We are being invited not by fear, but by wisdom, to return to balance, to reconnect with nature, with one another, and with the deeper truths that we've long buried under convenience and distraction. What choices are we making today that shape the world we leave behind tomorrow? What kind of foundation are we building, one of harmony or one of denial? These questions are not meant to scare you, but to stir something deeper, a sense of responsibility, of humility, and of hope. Because while the wave may rise, we still have time to learn how to stand together in its presence, not as victims, but as people willing to grow, to change, and to protect what matters most. If you've watched this far, you're already tuned into the hidden truths behind Baba Vanga's chilling prophecy for 2025. Comment below with, "I'm ready to show you're prepared for what's coming." Don't click away, there's still powerful insight ahead that could change how you see the future. Stay until the end to discover what might lie just around the corner. Number 3. A deeper warning. When Baba Vanga spoke of a great wave, many focused only on the possibility of a physical flood, a natural catastrophe that could swallow cities and shatter lives. But if you listen more closely, if you go beneath the surface of her words, you'll find that her true warning wasn't about water at all. It was about something much deeper, something that reaches into the core of who we are as a society. Baba Vanga wasn't just predicting a disaster of the earth, she was pointing to a spiritual crisis, a loss of meaning, of connection, of inner balance. She saw a world accelerating in all directions, people chasing success, power, and wealth with unrelenting hunger, yet becoming more disconnected from what truly matters. Have you ever felt that, despite having more access, more options, more technology, life somehow feels emptier? That's what she was trying to show us, that the true danger wasn't outside of us, but within. The rising waters, in her vision, weren't just from melting ice or stronger storms. They were the inevitable result of a society that has drifted too far from its center. She warned us, not with fire and brimstone, but with quiet truth. What we build on, pride, greed, and ego, will not survive when the tides of consequence arrive. Glass towers might scrape the sky, but without spiritual grounding, they are fragile. Digital empires can reach billions, but if they lack compassion and wisdom, they collapse under their own emptiness. We see it around us every day, how fast we move, how much we consume, how obsessed we've become with surface-level success. And yet, so many feel more anxious, more lost, more divided than ever before. Baba Vanga's warning was not just a prediction of disaster, it was a mirror held up to our way of life. What happens when we forget to care for the earth? What happens when we no longer look each other in the eye or listen with the heart? These are the real cracks forming beneath our feet, and when the pressure builds, something will give, and perhaps that too is part of the wave she saw. But there's something even more powerful in her message, the symbolism of water itself. In many ancient cultures and spiritual teachings, water is not only a destroyer, it's a cleanser. Think of the great flood in the story of Noah. It wasn't only sent to punish, but to purify, to cleanse the world of corruption and give birth to a new beginning. Water, in this way, becomes a teacher, sometimes fierce, but always purposeful. Baba Vanga's great wave wasn't about vengeance or punishment. It was a wake-up call, a chance to see clearly how far we've drifted and to find our way back. Her prophecy doesn't scream, "Prepare for doom." Instead, it gently insists, "Return to what matters." She called us to humility, the kind that recognizes we are not above nature, but a part of it. She invited us back to simplicity, not just in lifestyle, but in spirit, to slow down, to listen, to breathe, to remember that peace isn't found in having more, but in needing less. She reminded us of the sacred, the deep connection between all living things, and how we've forgotten to honor it. And she pointed us towards stillness, something we've lost in a world addicted to speed. When we think about this wave, let's not only fear its power, let's ask, what is it trying to show us? Could it be that the real flood is not water, but illusion, the illusion that we are in control, that we are separate, that success can exist without meaning? If that's the case, then the wave is not our enemy, it's our reflection. It's not here to drown us, but to wash away what no longer serves us. The question is, will we see it in time? Will we learn from it before it breaks? Or will we wait until it's too late? Because in the end, Baba Vanga's prophecy is not about predicting a date or a place. It's about recognizing a pattern, a truth that unfolds when humanity loses its way. And the most powerful part of her warning is this: we still have a choice. The future is not fixed. The wave is coming, yes, but whether it destroys or transforms us depends entirely on how we respond. So maybe now is the time to pause, to reflect, and to ask yourself, what am I building my life on? Is it solid? Is it real? And will it stand when the waters rise? Because the deeper message is clear. Only what's rooted in love, humility, and wisdom will endure. Everything else, no matter how impressive, will be swept away. Number 4. A catastrophic scenario. The Canary Islands collapse. Among the many interpretations of Baba Vanga's chilling prophecy, one theory stands out not only for its scientific backing, but also for the powerful spiritual symbolism it carries, and that is the potential collapse of the Canary Islands, specifically the volcanic island of La Palma. You might not hear much about it in everyday conversations, but off the northwest coast of Africa, beneath the lush green landscape of La Palma, lies a sleeping danger. Geologists have identified a massive, unstable fault line along the island's western flank, a section so weakened that, under the right conditions, like a powerful eruption or earthquake, it could break away and crash into the Atlantic Ocean. And if that happens, it wouldn't be a slow or quiet event. It would be a cataclysm, a giant slab of land plunging into the sea, instantly displacing unimaginable volumes of water and triggering what scientists call a mega tsunami. We're not talking about the kind of wave you see in disaster movies or even the tragic tsunamis that have struck parts of Asia. This would be a wall of water hundreds of feet high, traveling across the Atlantic at jet speed, giving the east coast of the United States just under 8 hours before impact. Have you ever considered how fragile our sense of security really is when faced with the raw power of nature? Think about it in this scenario. Cities like New York, Boston, Miami, and Charleston would be directly in the path of destruction, not just flooded, but potentially erased. The same streets where millions walk, where empires of finance, culture, and innovation stand, could be gone in hours. Skyscrapers, highways, schools, hospitals, nothing would be spared. Some models suggest that floodwaters could push as far as 20 miles inland. Try to visualize that not just the coasts, but the neighborhoods, the homes, the memories all swallowed up. The human loss would be overwhelming, and the economic devastation would reach into the trillions. And yet, this isn't just about the science of what could happen. This is also about the deeper meaning of what Baba Vanga may have been warning us all along. While she never named La Palma or the Canary Islands, her words carry an eerie resonance. A wave shall rise without warning. The sun will shine, but the cities will drown. No wall will hold it back, not of steel, not of concrete, not of pride. Now ask yourself, was she describing this exact event? Or was she giving us something even more timeless, a symbolic message about the fragile illusion of control? Because whether the collapse happens or not, the real question is, what are we building our lives on? Are our foundations, both physical and spiritual, truly secure? Or are we, like La Palma's slope, quietly shifting, slowly cracking beneath the surface? We often believe that technology, concrete, and money can protect us from anything, but history and nature constantly remind us otherwise. Baba Vanga's prophecy, especially in this context, seems to be about more than just a wave. It's about the warning behind the wave that human pride, when left unchecked, meets its limits in moments like these. So what does this mean for us today? It means we must reevaluate not only how we build our cities, but how we build our values. It means preparing not just with emergency kits, but with humility, with wisdom, and with deeper respect for the natural world. Because in the end, the earth doesn't act out of anger, it acts out of balance. And when the balance is ignored for too long, it returns in ways that no structure, no system, and no nation can stop. So here's the message we must take from this: not just fear, but awareness. Not just panic, but purpose. Whether or not the Canary Islands collapse, whether or not a mega tsunami ever reaches our shores, the lesson is clear. We cannot afford to live in illusion any longer. We must reconnect with what truly matters: our relationship with nature, with one another, and with the deeper truths that give life meaning beyond the material. We must ask ourselves, what are we standing on? And if the wave came tomorrow, what would remain? Because in Baba Vanga's words lies not only a warning, but a call to awaken. A call to ground ourselves in something real, something lasting, before the water comes to test it all. Still with us? That means you feel the urgency in Baba Vanga's prophecy. Drop a "future ready" in the comments if you believe knowledge is the first step toward protection and power. Don't miss what's next. We're about to reveal the part of the prophecy most people overlook. Number 5. Baba Vanga's final message. As dark and urgent as her prophecies were, Baba Vanga did not leave us without hope. In the final years of her life, she spoke quietly to a priest, her words gentle but heavy with meaning. The great water will come, but not yet. There is still time for man to repent, but not much. Let those final 3 words sink in: not much time. She wasn't speaking in riddles or cloaking her prophecy in fear. She was giving us a lifeline, a chance to step back from the edge and choose another way forward. Her vision of the coming flood, whether physical, spiritual, or symbolic, wasn't set in stone. It was conditional. It was a crossroads. Humanity, she believed, still holds the ability to shape what happens next. So the question becomes, are we listening, or are we waiting for the wave to arrive before we take it seriously? But to understand her call, we need to look beyond the idea of repentance as something religious or dramatic. Baba Vanga's vision of repentance wasn't about guilt or fear, and it certainly wasn't about punishment. It was about return, a quiet, sincere return to what we've forgotten. Not a retreat from the world, but a reconnection with it. She urged us to return to nature not as a political statement, but as a way of remembering who we are. When was the last time you stood barefoot on the grass and actually felt the earth beneath you? When did you last hear the wind and listen, really listen, without noise or distraction? That's the return she meant. She spoke of returning to stillness, the kind found around a dinner table, without screens glowing between us, where presence is sacred and silence isn't awkward, but meaningful. She asked us to return to humility, to remember that we didn't create the stars and we don't control the tides. That in the grand scheme of life, we are part of something much greater, and yet we often act as though we own it all. She called for a return to love, not the commercial kind we see in ads and movies, but a quieter, stronger love that nourishes rather than consumes. The kind of love that holds hands through storms, that forgives, that listens, and that heals. This, to her, was real repentance, not a grand ritual, but a gentle shift back to the soul, back to the heart, and back to balance. And then she gave us her final insight, perhaps the most important of all. Baba Vanga warned of a great wave, but she also revealed that the most powerful wave we face doesn't rise from the ocean. It rises from within us. The real wave is not made of water, it's made of awareness. It's a wave of awakening, of humility, of remembrance. It's the wave that changes minds, softens hearts, and reminds us of what truly matters. It doesn't destroy cities, it rebuilds character. It doesn't sweep away nations, it clears the fog in our spirits. And it doesn't flood the land, it floods the soul with clarity. This is the wave we need to rise within ourselves, before any natural wave ever hits our shores. The beauty of this truth is that it puts the power back in our hands. We can't stop the movement of tectonic plates or the rising of the sea, but we can stop the disconnection, the neglect, the noise, and the ego. We can choose stillness before the chaos forces it on us. We can choose reverence before the earth demands it. We can choose love before loss reminds us how much it matters. So the door is still open, and that matters. Because it means we still have a chance, a real, living opportunity to shift course, to restore balance, and to write a different chapter than the one fear might expect. But as Vanga said, not much time. That doesn't mean we panic. It means we act with intention. It means we pay attention. It means we stop waiting for signs in the sky when the signs are already within us. What does that look like for you? Is it slowing down, forgiving someone, spending more time with your children, listening more to your intuition than to the noise of the world? You don't need to change the entire world overnight, but you can begin by changing the way you show up in it. Because the future, as she saw it, wasn't about fate, it was about choice. And the wave, whether it's destruction or renewal, starts with what we carry in our hearts. In the end, Baba Vanga didn't just leave a warning, she left a path. It begins with awareness, continues with humility, and ends, if we choose it, in peace. Number 6. What you need to do right now. Of all the mysterious visions and powerful prophecies Baba Vanga left behind, one message rises above the rest. Not a message of fear or doom, but of awakening. Her warnings were never meant to paralyze us with worry or lock us into helplessness. They were meant to jolt us into consciousness. When she spoke of the big one, many interpreted it as a final disaster, a sweeping catastrophe on the horizon. But what if that great shaking, whether physical, emotional, or spiritual, isn't just something that happens to us, but something that calls us to rise, to remember, and to realign with what truly matters? In that light, the real question becomes, what will you do now? Not next year, not when it's more convenient, but now. Because the future isn't written in stone, it's etched in the choices we make today. You don't need to hold a position of power, wear a robe of enlightenment, or have all the answers. You just need to be a human being who is willing to slow down, listen deeply, and act from the heart. The first and perhaps most essential step is to reconnect with nature. In our modern world, it's easy to forget that we're not separate from the earth, we are of it. The trees, the rivers, the soil, the sky. They're not just scenic backgrounds or vacation destinations. They are living, breathing expressions of the same energy that moves through us. You don't have to abandon your life and go live in the forest to remember this truth. Simply taking a walk without rushing, placing your hand gently on the bark of a tree, or standing barefoot on the ground can open the door to something ancient and real. These aren't small acts, they are acts of remembrance. Because when you tune into nature, you're not escaping reality, you're returning to it. And as the world trembles with uncertainty, your bond with the earth can become your source of steadiness. With that reconnection comes another necessary practice: simplification. We often think our suffering comes from scarcity, but more often it's the weight of excess that quietly suffocates us. Too many possessions, too many digital distractions, too many internal shoulds we carry without question. Life becomes cluttered, not just our homes, but our hearts and minds. Begin clearing space. Ask yourself what is truly necessary and what you're holding on to out of habit or fear. Start small: a drawer, a calendar slot, a toxic belief. Each thing you release is an invitation for peace to enter. When you let go of what no longer serves you, you don't lose anything of real value. In fact, you gain clarity, energy, and room to breathe. The path to freedom often begins not by adding, but by subtracting. Hand in hand with simplicity is the power of stillness. In a world addicted to speed, stillness becomes a radical act of healing. Take 5 to 10 minutes a day, no phone, no agenda, no multitasking, and just sit. Not to think or solve or produce, but to be. Breathe slowly. Feel your body. Let your thoughts come and go like clouds across the sky. This quiet isn't empty, it's full of insight. It's in this sacred space where your inner wisdom often whispers truths that the noise of life drowns out. Over time, this daily pause becomes a sanctuary, a space where you remember who you really are beyond the labels, the stress, and the chaos. And once you begin to slow down, you may notice something else awakening inside you: gratitude, a deep and quiet recognition that despite everything, you are here, you are alive, you are breathing. It's easy to take this miracle for granted until something reminds us how fragile it all is. Don't wait for loss to teach you the value of what you already have. Let gratitude become your way of seeing, not just your occasional reaction. Appreciate the warm cup in your hand, the sunlight through your window, the voice of someone you love. And with that appreciation, humility naturally follows, not the kind that diminishes you, but the kind that opens your heart to the beauty in all things, especially the simple ones. Gratitude won't necessarily change the world outside you, but it will change how you move through it, and that shift alone can transform everything. But we're not meant to walk this path alone. In the face of the big one, whether it comes as a disaster, a crisis, or a great turning point, what will matter most is the strength of our human connections. Ask yourself, who have you grown distant from? Who do you need to forgive? Who deserves to hear you say, "I'm sorry," or "I miss you," or even just, "Thank you"? Relationships are not guaranteed. They are living, breathing bonds that require tending. Return to the people who matter. Look them in the eyes. Listen with your full presence. Offer your heart, even if it's been bruised. Because when the wave comes, and it always comes, in one form or another, it's not our achievements or possessions that hold us up. It's love. It's community. It's being able to say, "I stood by the ones I care about." And as you begin to restore that connection, consider the pace at which you're living. Our culture praises speed, but depth comes from slowness. To truly taste a meal, to genuinely hear someone's words, to fully love another person, you must slow down. Speed might help us cross distances quickly, but it often causes us to miss the treasures along the way. So slow down, but go deeper. Speak with intention. Eat without scrolling. Hug without rushing. Don't just do more, feel more. The most meaningful moments in life are often quiet, easily overlooked by those in a hurry. But for those who move with presence, even the ordinary becomes sacred. Finally, remember that you don't need to carry the weight of the world, but you can influence it through the quality of your actions. Small acts, done with a sincere heart, ripple outward in ways we may never see. A kind word to a stranger, a conscious choice not to waste, a moment of patience when frustration rises. These moments matter. Each one adds to a wave not of destruction, but of compassion. The world doesn't need more opinions. It needs more kindness, more responsibility, more people who choose to walk with care. Be one of them. Let your steps be soft, but sure. Let your presence be quiet, but powerful. Let your heart be open, even when the world feels closed. Because no prophecy is stronger than the human spirit aligned with love and wisdom, and no future is fixed when the present is used with intention. So if Baba Vanga's words have stirred something within you, don't let it fade into fear or curiosity alone. Let it become a catalyst, not just for preparation, but for transformation. The big one may or may not come in the way people expect, but the real change begins now in how we live, how we love, and how we wake up. And so, as we reflect on Baba Vanga's haunting yet hopeful message, one truth remains clear. The future is not something that simply happens to us. It is something we shape, right here, right now. The wave she spoke of may or may not arrive as we imagine it, but the deeper wave, the wave of awareness, humility, and change, begins within us. If this message resonated with you, let it be more than just a story. Let it be a spark to slow down, to reconnect, and to live with greater intention. Thank you for being here and for walking this path of awareness with us. If you found value in today's video, please like, share, and subscribe to The Journey of Wisdom. And don't forget to turn on notifications so you won't miss our upcoming explorations into ancient teachings and timeless truths. Until next time, stay grounded, stay present, and may your journey always lead you back to what truly matters.